Did you know that the earliest medieval castles appeared in the 9th and 10th centuries when they were used as defense structures against external enemies? However, these fortifications were more than just military strongholds. These structures were the hearts of the Middle Ages society. So to speak, they were the power centers and the place where people's lives happened in the Middle Ages. Launching off into this voyage, let's cross beyond the majestic walls and standing towers to take a look at the vivacious life that is throbbing beneath all the obliterated debris. This is not merely a chronicle of knights and sieges, but rather a mere reflection of the reality of lords and ladies and the multitudes of faithful who live a day-to-day existence of the maintenance of these living stones. Castle secrets. The idea of the medieval castle is usually associated with high stone walls and dark, gloomy harbor all around. But have you ever thought about what makes castles unique in design? We will begin with the moat. Castles were not only complete with dry moats, but also the wide water-filled ditches that made the walls less accessible for attackers. From there is the drawbridge, just a little device, but with a great deal of ingenuity. In the case of danger, it could be lifted and thus the castle turned into impregnable island. But this is not all. It multiplies. The height and formidable walls fortified not only with battlements have a purpose rather than for aesthetic purposes. These were strategic points of defense. Instead of being confined to a narrow time period, the castle architecture is impressive in its ability to change and keep up with time. During the long period of time, which was marked as the process of improving variety of siege tactics, the building pattern of the castles also changed. For example, the use of horseshoe walls, where horses are able to gallop around in an elastic formation and breach even if the outer wall is conquered, can be highlighted. Legends come alive here. Besides, at the heart of the medieval castle, the vibrant rhythm of life passed over, and echoes of the past filled the air, reminiscent of the Great Hall. This huge space was not only a dining site, it was the bustling heart where the social order was clearly not only day dreamt about, but physically exhibited inside the structure of the hall itself. The Great Hall was a living example of unity and division. The high table was positioned prominently somewhere up there, which literally and symbolically kept the lords and the ladies separated from the rest. It was here that the lord held court while feeding his dependents and guests. He maintained the social order each time he sat at the table. On reaching the compact and quiet nooks and crannies of the castle, we not only gained a deeper insight into the ways of life of people living in the medieval period, but also, more than this, we gain a sense of the atmosphere that pervaded the times of early descendants of our race. The hall stood as a mirror of feudal society, where everyone could witness the power relationships, the alliances formed, and the social community took on a colorful appearance. What is the opposite experience of us moving into private chambers? The inmost chambers where the drama played out, the bank vault of character secrets unfold. The walls of the castle have a lot to let. The journey has just begun, and we'll be walking along it soon. Peek into castles. Beyond the luxury of the Great Hall and the busy corridors of the castle were the private chambers that were paramount in the comfort of the lords and ladies and were less conspicuous in the servants and soldiers' quarters. For lords and ladies, though, such chambers were sanctuaries of opulence. The lord's chamber was the biggest one, and it was often the most remarkably decorated one that reflected his high social and sometimes political status within the castle and outside. These contrast greatly with the humble ones of servants and soldiers, if to be described as it may. Lots of them bunked in the hall or barracks with straw mattresses, pallets, or simply bare ground. These people had just minimal of their own drabs, most of the time without any decorations in their rooms, and usually they could not provide the proper and convenient temperature there. Nonetheless, a prestigious lord's life might not be that much different from that of a lowly servant. Besides, every person in the castle, regardless of their rank or position, was a person of great importance. As we make our way to the outer defenses of the castle, bear in mind that both these fortresses' power and strength were not only in the walls, but the people living and working there. Nevertheless, what darling designs and plans were used to save the people from the perils out of the leg? Here we go with our analysis of how the Middle Ages was protected. Every stone has a story, with the confidence coming from drifting closer to the towering walls that were once the strongest ones separating the outside world from the good. Let us unveil the levels of strategic thinking and innovative ways that the residents of medieval castles used to defend themselves. These structures were not a mere matter of stones and cement. They were great military engineering wonders designed to last forever and preserved during armed forces. Castles designed for defense reflected the times. Evidence proves that the Warness's tactics evolution had its repercussions on the castle's architecture. Yet, the finest touch is in the minor details. Arrow slit, the narrow openings next to the window where bowmen stood or the arrow chute. Due to this, they remained protected at all times. Shooting holes in the gateways and ceilings would be used to pour arrows or boiling liquefying materials on those who had the bravery to reach the strong grounds. Let us not leave it to nature alone to fight for our land. In many cases, moat does not just have to be full of water. Instead, it may be a dry trench whose role is to stop the enemy for as long as it's necessary, or they are weakened until they can be taken by the defenders. Then again, going to be, if the invaders should get too close, defenders will carry out a fully armed attack or even turn it back by officers of their own. Returning to history, a smart maneuver by Chateauguay in the 12th century is evident from the siege. The strong defenses didn't prevent Richard the Lionheart's castle from falling into the hands of the French troops by bravery and ingenuity, including a sudden strike positioned through the waste hall. Due to that, the stories of siege and defense does not only show us the talent of medieval engineers, but also the entire devotion of those who were in the walls. When we get back through to the battlefield and retrace the stories of hero struggle, the Stone Guardian's great legacy forms in one's mind. What is more that lies behind the castle's woes about to be disclosed? With us, you will explore the conditions and mysteries of the medieval citadels in more detail. Challenges and solutions. While the walls and gates were high, the inhabitants faced daily difficulties that needed something beyond the technical knowledge of a military strategist. They needed functional solutions for water supply, sanitation, and heating, core elements of the lifestyle we are used to daily without thinking. Medieval castles were not only showcases of engineering concerning defense, but also sustaining life within. For the water, the castles were usually built near the natural springs or rivers, and some even possessed a system to collect the rainwater and make it possible to use the deep wells or cisterns, providing a constant supply even during the sieges. It was a tremendous task to heat up the huge stone buildings in the period of hard winters. To say nothing of that, great halls had large fireplaces, but it was the adoption of the hypocaust system, borrowed from ancient Rome, that importantly made a change in castle lifestyle. This underfloor heating system stove smoke and heat through a series of channeled routes under the floors and walls in order to warm the stone rooms via the chambers. The resourcefulness and wisdom of medieval minds yielded fortresses that were not only omnipotent, but also habitable. Entertainment and leisure. Within the castle walls, life wasn't all about strategy and survival only. There was space for happiness, festivity, and the chase after recreation. Picture how the castle grounds resonate with the sounds of music and laughter, and the clinking of goblets during lavish banquets. These meals were not just foods, they were extravagant events that reinforced bonds and displayed the status of the lord of the castle. Tournaments were another not to be missed, while knights competed in jousting, archery, and melee combat. These fairs attracted the crowds from the far horizons, thereby turning the castle into a lively place filled with fun and joy. Hunting was far more than a pastime. It symbolized nobility and was a constant in the everyday life of the castle, where it provided both sport and food. To sum up our trip, behind the gates of old castles gave us the picture of the world swamped by history and human efforts, from the architectural wonders engineered as countermeasures of declining the sappers, to the creative solutions for everyday problems and the rich culture of entertainment and relaxation. Castles were more than just a military stronghold. They were the very backbone of life, innovation, and communities. In fact, the lasting interest in such historical sites is fueled not only by their tales of conflicts and defenses, but by the lives of the people who worked, played, or lived within their walls. We take with us not only the memories of ancient stone corridors and vast courtyards, but also the deep understanding of the intricate variety of medieval lifestyle after leaving them behind. If you enjoyed diving into the secrets of medieval castles with us, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and share with your friends. More amazing stories are just a click away.